Okay, let's do some examples of temperature conversions. So we said that there are 3 different units for temperatures, and the one that we commonly use in chemistry is Kelvin. The other ones that we use are Celsius and Fahrenheit. So I'm going to walk us through how we would convert between those different temperatures. So one formula that we have is the temperature in degrees Celsius equals 5/9 times the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit minus 32. So this formula you can use to convert between both Celsius and Fahrenheit. If you have Celsius and you want to solve for Fahrenheit, you would put your number here and solve for Fahrenheit. If you have Fahrenheit and you want to solve for Celsius, you would put your Fahrenheit here and solve for Celsius. We'll do examples of both of those. Another equation that we will need is that the temperature, I'm going to put the other formula up here. The temperature in Kelvin, remember it's not degrees Kelvin, equals the temperature in degrees Celsius plus 273.15. Now this is a little more accurate than we need to be most of the time. Most of the time when we're doing this calculation, I'll just say plus 273, and that will get us the correct answer. So you'll notice in this equation we can go between Celsius and Fahrenheit. In this equation we can go between Kelvin and Celsius. There is no equation to go directly between Kelvin and Fahrenheit. So if you're given a temperature in Fahrenheit and you need to convert it to Kelvin, you would first convert Fahrenheit to Celsius and then use this equation to convert Celsius to Kelvin. So let's look at an example. So let's say the temperature is let's see what the temperature is right now. The temperature is 54 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that temperature in degrees Celsius and Kelvin? Okay, so these are 2 separate problems because I can't go from Fahrenheit to Kelvin. I have to go from Fahrenheit to Celsius and then Celsius to Kelvin. So first, let's convert 54 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius, and I'm going to do that by putting it right in here. So I'm just going to write this again. Temperature equals degrees Celsius, temperature in degrees Celsius equals 5/9 times temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm going to put that here, 54 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not going to put the degrees Fahrenheit because that's right here, minus 32. So I'm going to say 54 minus 32 times 5/9. 54 minus 32 times 5/9 is 12.22222. My answer, the fewest number of significant figures in my question is 2. So my answer needs to have 2 significant figures. So I would say temperature in degrees Celsius equals 12, or just 12 degrees Celsius. That's how you convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. Remember, you always use the set of rules for the last step in the order of operation. So even though we subtracted here, we multiplied here. So because we multiplied here, we want the fewest number of significant figures, not the fewest number of decimal places. In this case, they happen to be the same because this number has 0 decimal places. That number has 0 decimal places, but just keep that in mind. So that's it for Celsius. Now let's see what it is in Kelvin. So now we say temperature in Kelvin equals the temperature in Celsius plus 273.15. So plus 12 plus 273.15. So if I say 12 plus 273.15, it's 285.15 whatever. Well, again, my number has two significant figures. It has 0 decimal places. So the rules for significant figure to calculate Celsius is different than the rules for significant figures to calculate Kelvin, because here it's just addition. So this number should have 0 decimal places. So this number is 285.15 Kelvin, but it needs to have 0 decimal places. So right here, I need to see this first number after the decimal place if I need to round up or just drop it. And because it's less than 5, I just drop it. So the correct answer is 285 Kelvin. So that is kind of a tricky question because we use two different formulas, one to calculate Celsius and one to calculate Kelvin. The one to calculate Celsius, we use the multiplication and division rules. The one to calculate Kelvin, we use the addition and subtraction rules. So all this probably seems like a lot at the beginning. You will get very familiar with this and very comfortable with just doing this automatically. But it's important that you practice learning it now because you will lose points every time your significant figures are not correct whenever you're doing a calculation. So this is how we do temperature conversions. Anytime there are equations like this or constants that we call these will always be provided for you. There will be an exam sheet that you'll have access to when you're taking the exam. So you'll have all these formulas. You do not need to memorize them. You do need to be comfortable with them and know how to use them correctly.